All right, guys, welcome to another KevCAM night class tonight. Tonight, got Brendan McKenna helping out with questions, concerns, anything that comes up along the way. How you doing, Brendan?
I'm doing well. Doing well. It's getting a little cold for my liking out here, but I'm doing okay.
Yeah, I was just looking at our attendees list, and I see Carlos Sanchez in there, and I think he's in California where it's 80 degrees right now. And for those of you guys that don't know, KevCAM is in northern Minnesota, and we are in a wind chill advisory for 30 below tonight. So for those of you guys that are in that nice warmer climate, you can just feel sorry for some of us that are way up north in Minnesota.
Well, the funny part about it is, you're like where I live is actually considered a warmer climate compared to you, and they're saying it's going to be about 30 degrees above zero. So, technically we're 60 degrees warmer than you. So
Yeah.
Can't complain.
All right, guys. So for those of you guys, I do see a couple new names in there. Yeah, I guess a bit cold though. So for those of you guys who are new, this is a night class solely dedicated for you guys. So currently we are using GoToWebinar, and with GoToWebinar, everybody is on mute just to eliminate background noise. So if you guys do have any questions, concerns, anything that comes up along the way, there is a questions panel in the GoToWebinar. So definitely type your question in there. If you need me to slow down or kind of recover something, just type it in there. If you guys have a question, type it in there. Brendan will address it, or if he can't, he'll just get my focus towards that question versus keep going along. So, but with that being said, like I said, guys, this class is solely dedicated to you guys. So what we want to do is send us your ideas of a night class that you guys want to see. We're getting pretty well filled up here all the way up until next year with night classes, but keep shooting those ideas over to me, guys. And what we do is if you guys send an idea off to me, you will actually get a free t-shirt and some SolidCAM swag, t-shirt and hat, and I think they send off a coffee mug too. So definitely send those ideas, and like I said, these classes are solely designed just for you guys and for you guys to get as much out of them as possible. And for those questions, what you guys can do is you guys can email those to me, and what I'll do is, I know a lot of you guys have my email address, but I put my email address into the GoToMeeting or the GoToWebinar chat, kevin.rankel@solidcam.com. And then also, if you guys need to do a review on the video or need to see other videos that were previously done, I do have my YouTube channel. It's called SolidCAM University. If you guys just type in KevCAM and do a search for that, usually it will pop up. And what I'll do is I'll put the link for that channel on in the chat also for you guys. So, and those guys that are a little bit newer to YouTube, what you guys can do is once you're in my channel right here, you guys can hit the little search inside the channel, and you guys can type up, if you're trying to look for a shape tool, you can just type in shape, and I made a 3-minute video on how to do a shape tool. So if there's something in specific that you're looking for, but there is quite a few videos in here kind of going through every night class, and also just some tips and tricks in there along the way too. So I just did one the other day on how to set up your default operation. So instead of having iMachining open up with having a 10 thou wall offset, you can actually set it up so it automatically defaults to a 5 thou wall offset. So definitely come here, check it out, subscribe so you get the latest videos that I put up there. And with that being said, we are going to be covering engraving tonight. So I'm going to get to our night class here, and tonight's class is sponsored by MCAD Cafe, and MCAD Cafe is the #1 online magazine for manufacturing, so check them out at MCAD Cafe. And if we don't have any other questions, I think everybody should be able to see my screen as I'm flipping through. Someone just want to write, yes, I can see it, or perfect.
Yeah, everything looks good on my end too,
okay.
Here, Kevin.
Excellent. All right, so let's dive right in here. So what I've done is I kind of come up with a couple parts. We're going to do a 2D engraving, a 3D engraving, and we'll actually do a 4-axis engraving. And I'm going to show you guys multiple different ways of doing engraving. And you know, even and this will apply for you guys that are using InventorCAM too, because well, let me just, does anybody have InventorCAM currently that's in the class right now? I don't see anybody in there, but that would, but okay. For InventorCAM, Autodesk Inventor does not have a sketch or a text, so I'll cover that too in different ways of going around that. So that being said, we'll just kind of get the ball rolling here. We'll go to our engraving right here. Now, set up just like all of our other, can't talk tonight, all of our other operations, starting with your geometry and just moving your way down. Now, with engraving, you do have the option to do 2D and 3D. Now, when we get into 3D, there's a lot of nice features that you guys don't have to do in SolidWorks that SolidCAM really makes it easy. So we'll cover that on the next part here. But so 2D engraving, just go ahead and grab that new geometry. Now, if you guys are looking for a really nice single line font, SolidWorks has it. It's called DPS Schrift. So for those of you guys that are just looking for a simple single line font like what we have up here, DPS Schrift is the font that you guys want to go with. We can do the bold, and I'll show that too. But you know, if you guys are just doing simple little part numbers, you don't need to bold it. You don't need anything fancy. That's the one that you guys are going to want to use. So with that being said, now when we go to pick our geometry, you know, we're used to coming over here and chaining. Well, since we created all this in SolidWorks, we can just come down to your multi-chain down at the bottom, click Add, click on the text icon over on the left-hand side, and just hover over. Now, you'll see, like right now, I have a mouse cursor that looks normal. Now, as soon as I get close to that text, see how it turns to a letter A? As soon as it gets there, just click anywhere. And what that will do is it will automatically find all the chains for that font right there. So we can take and accept that. And what it's going to do is build chains. Now, let me just minimize this out of the way here. Now, if you guys are getting chains that are a bunch of little tiny itty-bitty chain segments, what's happened is your spline approximation is off. So what I would do is, you know, set your spline approximation to around 2/10, do a gap minimum of 2 thou and a gap maximum of, you don't even have to have 40, you can have 10 thou on there. But what will happen is if you got that turned, you know, if that spline approximation is off, you get a bunch of little itty-bitty line segments and you'll get 500 little chains in there. And we want to do one chain throughout the entire letter so it's not doing a bunch of little breakups in there. So just a little tip for you guys. Okay, so we got our geometry. We are going to grab our tool. Now you guys can use whatever tool you guys want. Anything in, you know, I personally like just using spot drills. Get a carbide spot drill to last forever, but they do have engraving tools out there too. Costs a little bit more, but it all depends on how much engraving you guys are doing. But for this one, I'm just going to grab a regular 1/4 inch spot drill. Let me add a holder on here. Okay. Now, levels. Upper level is the upper part of your part. Now, if you guys are looking at this and you're seeing it as mine is red and yours is green, it's just how the colors are set up. So in your SolidCAM settings. So if you guys are seeing green or red, it doesn't matter what color it is. It still means it's physically linked itself to the geometry. Now the engraving depth. We'll set this one at 10 thou. Now technology. Like I said kind of before in all the other night classes we do, technology is kind of where all the guts of everything are, everything that's going on. Now when you guys are doing a single line font using, you know, your spot drill or your engraving tool, you always want to change this to center. And you guys can have this defaulted as center if you want. We just have to save that out as a template, kind of what I was talking about in this video on how to set up a default setting in an operation. But so go ahead and put that to center, and we're basically done. You can go to your motion control. and miscellaneous parameters, 99% of the time you guys aren't going to get past the technology. So we'll just leave it on center, save and calculate, and now we have our toolpath. So let's just do a solid verify, and you can kind of see what's going on here. Let me slow it down for you guys. Just running through, cutting down 10 thou, and just following the center of that geometry. Real simple, easy to use, and this is, like I said, is called the DPS shrift. And that's the best single line one I have found out there. I did some experimenting last night, and I tried to download some single line fonts with no luck at all. So if you guys are not seeing DPS shrift, let me just do a sketch real quick here for you. Under your font right here, I have noticed that Windows with their updates have sometimes removed that. So if you guys do not have your DPS shrift, let me know and I will email you that file. And this just goes into your, let me pull this over here for you guys. This just goes to your C, Windows, and it's text, no font, right here in your fonts. And these are all the fonts. So if there is a font that you guys want to add in there, you can put it in there, and then SolidWorks will find that font for you. So.
Hey, Kevin, can I just ask you a real quick question here?
Absolutely.
So I remember, and I might be showing my age here, but I remember, back years ago when you wanted to use specific fonts for engraving, you had to kind of go through this weird process where you had to like explode the text and then, turn it into geometry. There are a few different steps that you had to go through. You don't have to do that anymore,
nope.
Do you?
Nope. All done automatically for you.
Excellent.
Yep.
Okay.
So
you have to understand. I mean, you're talking to a 40-something-year-old guy here, so just...
For those of you guys that haven't seen us at IMTS, Brendan might be 40-some years old, but he looks like he's 25. Okay, so now we'll get on to the bold. So I'll leave that in there. We'll just start a new add milling, engraving here, and we'll do another 2D. Now, basically, we're going to pick our text the same way as we always do. So multi-chain add, click on text, and it's going to chain everything for us. Hit the green checkbox. It's going to build all our chains for us. And we can go ahead and grab our spot drill here. Same thing with our levels. We'll just go another 10 thou. Technology, put it on center. Save and calculate. And let me I can get zoomed in here. Play that through, and now you'll get the bold style of font. And this will work. The SolidCAM Engraving will work with majority of the SolidWorks fonts. If you get into the really crazy fonts that have letters that are kind of looping back on themselves, then that does become a problem just because it's multiple chains there. You can go back, it will chain everything, but you might get a portion that's not chained, and you'll just have to go back and click on those. And I'll actually kind of show you that when we do the 4-axis engraving there. So any questions on what I've shown you just on the simple single line font? Okay, so now for those of you that don't have, or if you guys don't have a text on there, maybe you guys don't want to write anything on here and you just want something, we're going to put it at, let me just do a normal 2 view here. We're going to put a text over here, maybe a part number, and you don't want to physically put that sketch on there. No problem. So what we'll do is come in here again, add our engraving, and now what we'll do for our new geometry, instead of picking the multi-chain, we have added a text button in here. And this is where it kind of comes in handy for the InventorCAM users. So we'll click text and click add. Now this gets it's a little confusing at first, but I'm going to walk you through step by step and making it as easy as possible. So first thing you want to do is pick your reference point. Where do you want the geometry to be? So I just want it somewhere over here. Hit the green check box. It's going to fill out my numbers for me. Now what I want to do is click the edit button, and it's going to bring up like a Microsoft Notepad document. So first thing you're going to want to do is click the text button and click and drag a window. So now what you can do is, let's just say we have a part number 123455. Now you can come in here, you can change your font, and these are all the same fonts that you were seeing in SolidWorks. Maybe we don't want 72, maybe we just want 36. Hit OK. So there's our font. We can center it. Basically, like I said, it's Microsoft Notepad. Now we hit the green checkbox. Now I can't really see anything that's going on here. So what I'm going to do is if I click the preview button, you'll see that's exactly where it is. Now when I click that reference point, it's always going to be in the lower left-hand side. So that reference point, anything from that reference point is always going to go to the right and go to the Y positive and X positive, I guess you could say. So when that's done, you know, you can verify your chain. Well, maybe I want to make my my text just a little bit bigger. I can just highlight what I have here, and let's do 48. Hit OK. Hit the green check box, and we can do a preview. My text is larger. I'm happy with that. Now I can hit the green checkbox, builds those chains automatically for me, and do the same thing as what we've done before. Oops, I'll just put a 10th thou in there. Technology, put it on center, save and calculate. Now you'll see, you're not going to see much of a toolpath because the toolpath is actually 10th thou into the part, so the best thing to go through is just do a verification of that. And there we have our text. So I didn't have to create any sketch on my SolidWorks part. If I get out of here, you'll see that there's nothing here, so I don't have any part number or anything like that. Now if you guys are looking for incremental part numbers, we can do this with Haas machines and some machines that do run the macro program. So every single, let's say you guys are running production on this part, you want every part has to be, you know, sequentially going on. So this would be part 1, part 2. If you want your engraving to be set up that way, there's nothing that we really have to do right here except for just one engraving point. And then what they'll do is in the post processor, they'll add that macro in there for you guys. So that can be done, and I know it has been asked before. Okay.
Yeah, you know, Kevin, I think that's one thing that I'm really glad you brought that up, because I know, like you were saying, in, you know, Haas machines, Fidels, you know, that they have those, they have that, you know, it's like a sub program
Yep.
for serialized engraving, and you know, that's something that people ask about a lot for sure. So
yeah,
and like Kevin said, you know, yeah, we can just add that into the post and then just, you know, call that macro every single time you want to engrave. So that's not a problem at all.
yeah, and like I said, hats off to our post team, because some of the stuff that
Definitely.
you know, we come up with, or even some of the questions that you guys asked, if we can add that in there, in my head I would say, wow, I don't think that's even possible, and whoop, you know, 10 minutes later I get a post from Harry or Russ or Greg
Yep.
Shields or Greg Abbas or you know, all those guys, and they whip them out in no time at all. So
Yeah, those guys are pretty amazing.
okay, so now let's get into some of the cooler stuff that we can do with engraving. So what I'm going to do is add another engraving, grab our text here. Now this is going to leave a really, I think it's kind of a cool finish. So we're going to do a bold letter. Now, we'll grab our tool here, and we'll just go, oops, 10th thou again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a fill area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on my fill, and I'm going to do a hatch, and we'll do a step over of, let's do 15 thou, and we'll do it as a zigzag. So we'll do save and calculate. Now it's throwing a ton of toolpath on here right now because we're doing little itty bitty lines going back and forth, but when it's done, it kind of looks like a laser etched, you know, engraving on there. So what we're doing is we're keeping those lines straight up and down, and you guys can take a regular end mill and fill this area in too. I'm just kind of showing you guys different ways of going about this here, and this really leaves a really kind of a cool finish. You know, I did it on a piece of stainless steel, and it looks like I have my step over just a little. Well, let me kind of zoom in for you guys here. You can kind of see the lines going straight up and down there. So throughout the entire cut, you know, on this D right here, my lines are going straight up and down. You can change the angle of that too. So if I just play it through here, if I want to change it to 45 degrees, it will do it at a nice 45-degree angle, and you get a really kind of a cool looking finish, especially if you're using that engraving, you know, a carbide engraving tool there. Let's just do a simulate here. So if I kind of zoom in here, you'll see doing a nice 45-degree mark there. Now, the nice thing too, what we can do is we can also fill that area with a flat end mill. So we can use the contour style if we want to machine everything out of there using a, let's just, what do I have in here for tools? Let's try that 1/8 inch cutter. And obviously with the 1/8 inch I can step much farther over. Let's do 100 thou step over. And now if we do a solid verify, it's going to look just like your standard bold letter. So a lot of cool things you guys can do in there to make, you know, that, you know, make it pop. You know, if you're looking for, you know, a more of a visual effect, or, you know, we're getting a lot of guys that are doing gun parts. That's something that I kind of forgot about doing back from one of my old jobs, and when I kind of going through the class, you know, it looks really kind of cool as a visual feature in there. And you guys can turn on your floor finish, or if you guys want, you guys can take it in multiple cuts. You can have your wall offset, turn your compensation on, all that good stuff. So, you know, maybe you guys just want to do it one way. We also have middle line only. Now, I'm going to switch back to my engraver there. Now, the middle line only works okay. What it does is it basically finds the midpoint of your geometry and creates geometry off of that. So if we do a simulate here, you'll see we get, since like the A comes up and does a sharp point and the M's come up and does a sharp point, it's trying to find the middle line of that. So it depends on what font they're using, but you do have that feature of middle line only. So there is an option there. It's not gonna, like I said, I mean, if we look at this M, we have a, you know, 2 points that come together, and it basically comes up to that end point. So those M's look a little funny, the A's look a little funny, but, you know, totally dependent on the text that you're using.
You know, Kevin, there are a couple of really good questions here, and do you want to kind of get into those now, or you want to wait till towards the end?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into it now.
Okay, so the first one is, and this is actually a really good question. When you have the text window that you're putting your font into, there was a question that said that somebody had seen a drawing button in there. So the question is, can you draw inside the text box and then have it chain that?
Well, let's take a look here. Is it this text box right here that we're talking about? Let's see who wrote that question. Jeff?
Yeah.
Yes, okay, so let's do a text. I don't know.
So how can you see like the line and the pencil and all that sort of stuff?
So let's just try. Why pencil? It's not like I'm able to click and drag that pencil. Oh, you know what? Let's try this. Sorry, Jeff, to put you on the spot here.
No, I think Jeff's putting you on the spot, Kevin.
I'm using his name, though.
So he's saying use it outside the text box. Can you do it outside the text box?
So let me just cancel this. No. Edit. Okay.
Okay, so that's pretty interesting. So that's creating a spline or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, so you can, good call, Jeff. I guess I didn't even realize that. So,
nice.
What
Jeff is, if you need a job, give us a call.
Yeah. So if you guys need to do a pencil out something, you guys can actually, well, new to my knowledge here, you guys can actually click and drag that pencil and make shapes and whatnot, and it's automatically going to find that geometry for you. So, you know, if we want to do a little circle around it, hit the green check box.
I have to correct myself, Kevin. That was George Lauer from S. Johnson who said to draw outside the box. So, George, gold star for George.
Yep. So you guys can grab that chain, you know, and obviously we won't have it in the 0, 0 spot. So if we put it down here, now if we do a preview, and we'd have to make it smaller. But yeah, if there's something you guys want to draw, now that kind of brings up a good point here. If we're able to do that, we might actually be able to import in pictures. And that's something that I'll have to look into here, because 99% of the time I don't use this feature because I just kind of go along with what SolidWorks has. But I would assume we could insert a picture in here too, and you guys could kind of convert that picture into geometry too. But I'll have to look into that for you guys. And what I'll do is I'll post an updated video on YouTube. It won't be, you know, an hour-long video, but kind of going through if we can do pictures and different ways of going about using the drawing tools inside the text icon there. So.
Okay, and Kevin, the other question right after that was when you were doing the cross-hatching with the inside the lettering, will that cross-hatching fill in any shape as long as it's a closed contour?
Correct.
Or a closed shape? Okay.
Yep, absolutely. So if we do fill area, hatch, or contour, it will fill it in, kind of like what it's showing right here, you know, a bold letter. As long as it's a closed loop all the way around, it will grab that. So
perfect. Okay.
And like I said,
and then
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying the sky's the limit on, you know, how you guys want things to look. So, you know, if you guys want to use, you know, just do a fill and, you know, keep it as a hatch, or if you guys are just kind of just want to machine it out, you know, a couple different samples there of what you guys can do to visually, you know, make it look very nice for you guys.
Okay. And I'm not sure if I'm reading this question correctly. It looks like it says I need to select geometry that is part of a parasolid that I brought into SolidWorks. I'm assuming he's asking, can he select geometry that is part of a parasolid that was imported into SolidWorks? Would that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. Let's just do hatch. And we'll set that back to
which is kind of a you know, a lead into our next question, having the ability to import drawings and using those as closed contours.
Absolutely, guys. So let me just make a copy of this. So now, when I click New Geometry, you know, by going down here, this is just shortening. This is just a shortcut for chaining text. Now, if you guys are just looking on, you know, just chaining, Sean, you were asking about parasolid stuff, absolutely. Come in here, click on it like you would normally click on geometry. You know, if we want to, well, here, let's just exit out of here. And let's just say I got a sketch and maybe, you know, this line right there. Okay, so now if I come in there, it has nothing to do with any text at all, but I want to, maybe etch a line on that, or, I had a lot of guys that he was making rulers and he had a bunch of little lines. So definitely come in here, grab your new geometry, chain it like you do like a profile. You can either click on it and be done, or for that particular fellow that we actually had, he was making a ruler, a nice, I think it was like a 6-inch aluminum ruler for a fixture that he was doing. What we did for that is, let me cancel that geometry. We came down to the multi-chain, and he had tons and tons of little hash marks in here. And what we did is we just left it on edges and clicked on the face, and it's going to find all the edges for us. So like right now, we just have one outside edge going all the way around. But like I said, if we had hash marks, well, technically, we should have picked up that hash line too. Let me, edges, because this is how we actually have to do it inside of the fourth axis. Your faces. It's just grabbing that outside. It does work with the hash lines, or parasol geometry, or like I said, worst case scenario, you guys just have to click on here, do a manual chain, hit the green check mark. I'm gonna get rid of that outside chain here, and save and calculate. Do a simulate here. And now we have our, I didn't set a depth there. Save and calculate now. Contour path is empty. Okay, so what we want to do is do center and get rid of your fill. There we go. So now if I do a simulate, you'll see we get our nice hash mark through there. So it doesn't just have to be text, Sean, and Nick too. You can copy and paste stuff too as a text. So absolutely bring that in there. So yeah, all the functionality that you guys can do in basically Microsoft Word, Notepad, you guys can copy and paste that stuff in there too. So if there's something in there, you want it in there, copy and paste it from another part program or something like that, definitely we can do that in there. Now let me just try something real quick here. If I go to my geometry, and let's do a text right here, and we're going to edit, and let me just try copying something from my other screen here. Yep, so you can copy and paste stuff in from that's actually copied over from a Microsoft Word document. So for those of you guys that are asking about copy and pasting, just use Control-V and Control-C. Control-C does the copy on your original document, and when you want to paste it in, you want to hit Control-V. So you can do it that way, and it will grab that text for you. Any other questions so far?
Not so far, Kevin. I think we're moving right along.
Perfect. All right. So now let's see what we've done so far. And let's do machine sim. Are you guys getting sick of me showing stuff on machine sim?
Never. Are you kidding me?
I just love it so much.
Machine sim is fun.
Exactly. Okay, we'll speed her up just a little bit here. So now you can see we're doing more with the bold letters here. And now we're doing the back and forth, doing that really cool looking pattern. Well, thanks, guys. I'm glad you guys like the machine sim too. Sorry, Brendan, you really don't count.
I know. I just work here.
Okay, we'll speed her up a little bit here. Oh, I have my resolution turned up to max. Let me, I'm hearing my computer just wind up. That's why. And there's our hash mark. So, I mean, there's our done part. We can see it in the machine. The only thing we didn't have on here was probing. We could probe up our part and measure, you know, where our home position is. But that about covers the 2D. So now, if we don't have any other questions with the 2D, I'm going to close out of here and we're going to get on to the 3D.
Yeah, there's some really super cool stuff that Kevin's about to show you here. And the really cool part about this too, for people who may or may not be aware, and depending upon which package you've selected, you can do a lot of this stuff in our kind of our lower level packages as well. You know, you don't have to have a full 3, 4, or 5 axis package to do what Kevin's about to show you here. So yeah. There's this might be enlightening for certain people here in the group.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you guys that are pretty good with SolidWorks, it's you know, you guys can do the projection of the text onto a 3D surface. But let me get kind of a side view. So we have like a dome top right here. But what I did is I created this sketch. So let me get this sideways here. So you guys can see my sketch is just on a single flat plane. Now this plane can be, you know, 5 inches up in La La Land. Doesn't matter. Now, are you guys able to see what I'm talking about here? We have a nice half moon surface right here, and the text is actually flat. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Clarence. Okay, so now what 3D engraving does is it projects that text onto the 3D surface for you guys. So it takes out a lot of the hard work. So, I mean, yeah, we can come in SolidWorks, project it on there. And actually, you can't, if you guys are using SolidWorks 2016, you actually can't project this engraving onto this shape right here. I tried it many times, but in SolidWorks 2017, they've added a new feature in there where you can. So kind of neat, but you know, you still have to go through multiple steps. So right here, all I did is I had my part, and I just added my sketching just on the top plane right here. So what we'll do is do our add engraving. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it over to 3D engraving. And the only thing that's different between 2D and 3D is now I have my engraving and I have my geometry. So if I click the new box right here, it's looking for the 3D model. So what 3D area do you want it to engrave onto? I'm just going to grab my model. And now I need to grab the geometry. So we can do like we've done before, do our multi-chain. We'll do our text. Click on our 3D engraving. Click on our KevCAM. It's going to produce all of our chains for us. Hit the green checkbox. Now, same as before, grab our tool. Levels. Now, I really don't care about the lower level at all. It's automatically kind of find that. The only thing I'm really concerned about is how deep do I want to engrave into that part. So I want to stay 10, you know, let's just say 10 thou right now. I want to go down. Now that's going to obviously be varying on my depth because now, you know, my part up towards the top is going to vary in the depth versus going down farther into the, I guess, the half moon shape there. So now we can go to technology here, set it to center.
Kevin, in other words, that's a 10 thousandths depth of cut tangent to the surface point, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now we can do our save and calculate, and let's do a simulate here. And so now we can see our nice half moon. I got my bolts in there on a fixture plate. And let me slow it down a little bit right here. I guess we can speed it up. And now the tool is actually going up and down as it goes for the geometry. And you guys can do this with the hatch. You guys can do this with the fill, whatever you guys are looking for. But it's a real nice feature because it's taken just a 2D geometry, and it's basically projecting it onto a 3D surface for you and doing all the calculations for you. So, and you'll see right here, I got, you know, a different 3D bold, you know, text right there. I got some, I don't know, funky font bold going on right here. So it's real nice. Let's just simulate here. Let's just do machine sim. So we got our fixture plate bolted onto our machine here. And there we go. Nice programming. And like I said, it's compensating for that Z. So if I kind of get a zoom in here, you can see that no matter where I take a depth mic along this profile, it's going to be 10 thou deep all along this entire surface. So really kind of nice feature. Like I said, we can do it in SolidWorks too, but there are several steps you kind of have to go through. So the stakes, you know, makes it a lot easier for you guys to use.
Kevin, does that surface have to be like essentially like a you know, a common surface, or can it be a free-form surface? In other words, if you had like a, you know, like a ripple or something like that, could you do that as well?
Let's do a ripple here. Let me close this, and we'll just do a new part real quick. I'll try to make this as quick as possible for you guys here. Do a sketch, and let's do a spline here. Okay, so let's do features, extrude, and let's bring this guy out here. I'll just do a save.
Yep, that's exactly what we're thinking about. And I think, you know, one of the other questions, and we'll see this as you do your toolpath here, Kevin, there was a question as to whether that depth is 10 thousandths depth throughout, and yes, it is. It'll be a constant 10 thousandths depth, because again, it's maintaining that 10 thousandths step down or Z depth into the surface, because it's always remaining tangent to that surface, to the plane of the surface. So it's always going to maintain that depth.
Absolutely. Okay, so we got that set. We'll do a stock real quick. And we'll just do a 3D model. Grab our 3D model there. All right, so now we got our part with the wave on there. So what I want to do here is get this expanded out a little bit here. Okay, so what I want to do is have some text up on top. So what I'm going to do is just do a sketch, and we'll just say SolidCAM, and come to our DPS shrift, and let's do 1 inch. Okay, so we got our text on there. Complete wave surface. Now, easy enough. Add operation, engraving, do our 3D engraving, click on the model, grab our text here, and we'll just grab a spot drill. Well, let's just grab engraver. Checkbox, levels, and we'll just do center, save and calculate, solid verify. And okay, so what's going on here is my tool is actually very blunt. So if I had a So let me just change my tool here to, let's see, I need angles 8.
You know, and Kevin, as you're doing that, that brings up a really good point. You know, you always have to keep in mind that the larger or the greater of the angle of that surface, you know, the more risk you take as basically running into the side of that cutter.
Yep.
So this is a really good example of you know, you have to be aware, because again, this isn't a 5-axis toolpath. This is a 3-axis toolpath. So that Z is always remaining vertical. So, you know, again, if you do run the risk of kind of slamming the edge of the cutter into the surface based upon its geometry.
Absolutely. So you'll see right now I have a much pointier tool in here, and now when that tool gets over to, you know, to the edge right there, I don't have to worry about the basically kind of shanking out as what's going on. So hopefully that answers the question. Any other questions with the 3D milling?
No, that definitely covered it, Kevin.
Perfect. Now, you know, I talk, you know, I like to show you guys the machine sim. You guys will see that I just created this part completely on the fly. You know, nothing behind the scenes that I did before you guys getting anything set up. So now the nice thing with, you know, is if you guys have machine sim, all you guys have to do is come into machine sim, and what it does is it bases it off of where your coordinate system is located. So from the top of our part, if we just do a from right there to right here, let's just see how tall our part is. Looks like 1.8. So all I have to do is just tell it how tall my part is, 1.8, hit OK. And now we can do a machine sim with that part. And you'll see I don't have a vise or anything on there, but I mean, that's just to kind of show you guys how easy it is to set up, you know, when you guys have machine sim. So, I mean, quick, simple, easy, and like I said, I created this part 100% on the fly here for you guys. Looks like I got the wrong measurement. I have my parts sitting inside the table a little bit here, but we can bump that up in the Z, but really easy to do for you guys. So, okay, so let's get on to something even cooler now. And
you mean there's something cooler than that? How can that be possible?
Love it when we have to do on-the-fly stuff.
I was going to say, was that too cheesy of a line there, Kevin? Or
okay.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, there you go. That just reminds me of the Shazam commercial. Or those Shazam.
Oh, ShamWow.
ShamWow. There you go. Okay, so we have a SolidCAM engraved etching on a complete 4-axis. So what you guys can do is you guys can do this with, you know, with the tool just staying, you know, 90 degrees or, you know, straight up and down with your Z-axis, but, you know, you get around these sharp corners here, you're not going to be able to engrave all the way around using the 3D. So what we're doing to do here is we're just going to do a 4-axis. And it's just as easy. So we'll do our engraving here, do our geometry. Now the only thing what you need to do is before you go any farther from right here is you want to wrap your geometry. Now depending on how your 4th axis is set up, the way I have mine, I want to wrap it around the x-axis right here. And now I need to grab my geometry. So I'm going to do my multi-chain. Now if I do text, you'll see it's going to want to grab, let me pan it out here. It's going to grab that geometry that's flat. So I can't use text on this particular one right here. So like I was telling you guys before on the edges. So if I just click on there, it's going to find all my edges, the outer perimeter edges. But you'll see like my O didn't get hit, so I'm going to grab my O, my D, and my A. And you'll see it throws those yellow chains around there. It will also throw, you know, yellow chains around here and here, but soon as I go and accept that, it's going to build those chains. Now I can just come in here and delete my chain 14, delete my chain 1, hit the green checkbox, and now we're good to go. And we're going to stay on 2D, and we'll grab our little engraver here, engraving depth of 10 thou. Technology, we'll put it at center. Save and calculate. And let's do machine sim so you guys can kind of see what it looks like with the 4th axis on there. And now, slow it down a little bit for you guys. And you'll see our indexer is actually rotating around. So it's staying, right up on that top surface, keeping that constant 10 thou all the way throughout the entire cut on a round cylinder. I personally think it's kind of cool, but
no, this is very cool, Kevin. I mean, as impressive as this looks, even just with the engraving on here, again, C-axis wrapping or the wrapping feature in the 2.5 axis Pro actually doesn't necessarily just apply to engraving. You can actually you can take a pocket or contour or whatever and just
absolutely.
Exactly.
Any geometry.
Sorry, Kevin. No, didn't mean to steal your thunder there.
No, any geometry that you guys can pick, we can wrap it around that 4th axis for you guys. So, so those guys are looking at this and saying, well, you're doing it with a 3D. No, this is all, everything that I've shown you guys today is all 2.5D standard. There is no 3D professional package, there are no HSS or anything like that. This is all just 2.5D. So the only thing that that I am showing here that you guys, if you guys just do have 2.5D, is the machine sim. And I like to, some people think, if you guys are just running a 3D or I'm sorry, a 3-axis machine or a 4-axis machine, we don't need machine sim. You just need it more for the 5-axis. I like to say the differ. For me to be able to see this indexer rotating around, I can see my tool if I'm going to collide in with anything on my indexer. It's all right there for you guys. So if that's something you guys don't have, please let me know and we can get you guys hooked up with that too. So any questions or anything? Go ahead.
Yeah, there was one, Kevin. Does it have to be a cylinder or can it be a prismatic part? And I think I already know the answer to this, but please feel free.
Yeah, no, it can be prismatic. It doesn't matter. Especially with your 4th axis, because on a prismatic, it's going to be on a flat surface. So, like I said, sky's the limit on what you guys can do there, and we can definitely do that on that prismatic part. So, it doesn't have to be on a cylinder. I just wanted to kind of show it on a cylinder for you guys, kind of wrapping the geometry around.
Cool. So if you had like a hexagon, it would still even do it on something like that?
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh, wow. Hey, I just learned something new myself. That's great.
Yep.
Very
square
cool.
stock or whatever. And the square stock kind of looks, when you're doing a square stock, it gets around those sharp corners, or if you have some 1018 square tubes stock, it does have the little radius on the corners, and it might look just a little bit funny when it's going around the corner there, but it will still come out, keeping that constant depth of, that 10 thou that we told it to in the levels right here of your engraving depth. So
yeah, and actually, that would make sense, because if it's trying to maintain that 10 thou depth, then you're going to actually, because of the angle of the tool and then the corner of the part, you'll get a little kind of you'll get like a little extra chunk out of there. But
and it's like I said, it's no different than when I showed you guys that wave part. It's going to kind of go up and over all of that stuff for you guys. So
okay,
definitely.
Cool. Nick has a question here that's pretty interesting. He says, if it's prismatic, does it stay over Y0? So in other words, it's always going to stay on that center plane along the x-axis, or along the, I should say, the a-axis rotational.
Well, if it's prismatic, if it's prismatic, what it's going to do is, it's going to come over here. So it is going to move in its Y, or in the, get my direction all mixed up here. It is going to move in the Y positive, Y negative, but when it gets around to the edge, it's going to basically keep that tool on point, of X, Y, Z's, or X, Y, or Y, X center as it's rotating around the A-axis. When it gets to the other flat, as it goes around that bend, then it's going to keep moving in the Y axis also.
Oh, okay. All right. So it's going to know So in other words, it's going to know when the A-axis rotates to where that stock is flat, so then it can move in any axes.
Absolutely.
And then okay, all right, and then it's going to rotate accordingly. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And I love the comment there. That's even better than MasterCAM. Love it.
Yeah, well, Nick, we might have to get your quote on our website somewhere, and we'd be happy to do that.
And Andy, we are running a little tight on time, so what I can do is I can send you a square stock part, like some square tube, and show you how to do it. I'm just worried that we got 4 minutes left here, and to draw up a tube, do the sketch, and wrap it around is going to take me a little bit more than 4 minutes. So definitely shoot me an email, Andy, and I'll send that off to you.
Okay. Kevin, there's another question that George asked. I'm not sure if you can see it here. It says, what about V-carving or centerline text engraving? I know you covered the centerline text engraving, but he said where the tool stays on center of the font, but the depth changes to fill in the font. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that, George.
We can also take that offline as well. Kevin, if you want to, we'll have all the we actually record all the notes and everything from these sessions. So we can go back and if it's something that you want to see, Kevin can make a short little video and send that along to you as well.
Yeah. So George, why don't you shoot me an email of what font or what you're actually trying to achieve there, and then we'll definitely I'll definitely get that address for you too, because I'm not sure what you mean by V carving. A center line with the tool staying on center, but changes to fill the font. And if I'm gathering what you're saying there, that's pretty much the same as, let me see here. Let's go to engraving here. So if we're using a center line, I'm thinking that's kind of what we're doing right here with that hatch pattern, and I could be totally wrong, so I'm just kind of guessing. With the 45 degrees and my step over, you can do that on a 3D surface also. Usually mostly in woodworking using a 90 or 60 degree bit. Yeah, I'm not sure, George. You would have to definitely shoot me an example, and we could definitely do that also and show you how to do it. I'm just not sure what you're trying to achieve there. Sorry, it's a little tough with the go-to meeting.
No, actually, I'm just sending George a message right now just to tell him, we can touch base on it tomorrow. And George, I can either give you a call and we can get Kevin on the line to discuss that. No problem at all. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that, absolutely none of these questions will go unanswered, whether we can do them live right now or whether we can do them offline. We will answer every single one of your questions, so no problem there.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ronnie, I know you asked me a question on shortcut keys with in the verification. I'm still waiting to hear back from Sydney on if he has any more for us, but currently, as far as I know, the space bar is the only one that I can tell you right now. So, any other questions, guys? And like I said, Ronnie, you're not getting forgotten, so I'm just waiting to still hear back from Sydney. And so, but I guess with that being said, for those guys that are new, we do have the Tell a Friend program. So if there's something, your buddy down the street has a machine shop, or a friend works at a machine shop, if you get him into a SolidCAM demo, all you have to do is just give us a name and a phone number. He gets a demo. We give you the KevCAM special, the $100 gift card, no questions, no strings attached there. And if your buddy ends up buying, you guys get 20% of that sale. So definitely, and it's normally you get $50 there, but since you guys have to take your Wednesday night and listen to me ramble on, hopefully learn something when I ramble on, but I got the CO to bump it up to $100. So so definitely, if you guys have a friend, just give us a name and phone number, and they sit in through a demo. That's easy, $100 right there. So, and it's just a Visa gift card, no activation fees. Like I said, no strings attached. There's $100 for you to go buy Christmas presents, or diapers in my case.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you know, and again, you know, Kevin, if you don't mind me just kind of, it bears repeating. You know, if you do refer a friend of yours and we do close some business with them and they do purchase SolidCAM, you are entitled to a full 20% of that, you know, that particular purchase. And, you know, as it stands right now, you know, our average purchase right now, I think, is about $10,000. So, you know, 20% of 10 grand is a nice chunk of change, and you know, that could also go a long way for Christmas or you know, vacation or something like that. So, you know, we take those very seriously, and we appreciate that as well. And but we also know that the people that are recommending SolidCAM are really super into it. You know, we know you're not just going to do this just to try to get $100 or, you know, 10% of a deal. The people that we talk to are very passionate about the product that they have, and that's why SolidCAM continues to grow at the rate it does. So, you know, again, it's a really popular program, and we'd love for you guys to participate in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, more than anything, guys, I want to thank you for all your input for the night class, all the ideas. Like I said, this night class is solely dedicated for you guys. The KevCAM is actually not really SolidCAM anymore. They've kind of branched off, so the KevCAM night class is basically kind of my baby now. So we have a couple sponsors helping out with it. So if there's something that you guys want to see, something you guys want to see changed, definitely email me, guys. I want you guys to get as most out of this. You know, we have the 5-star support, so I want you guys to absolutely have the best support that you guys ever had, training or tech support through SolidCAM. So, like I said, thanks again for staying with us throughout the night. And next week we're actually going to be covering 3D Professional and how it can improve your toolpath, and kind of go through some tips and tricks, kind of doing an overview of 3D Professional. So that's going to include your 3D iMachining, HSR, HSM, and HSS, kind of doing an overview of everything. And then in the later classes, we'll break that into different categories, and we'll kind of go through, each operation of, let's say, HSS, on how to do morph between boundary curves. And I know there's a lot of stuff in there, guys, with that when it gets into the 3D milling on different options. So, you know, we're just kind of working our way through from what you guys wanted to see. So, like I said, if there's something that you guys want to see, shoot me an email, and we'll get you figured out. So, got anything else, Brandon, before we cap her off for the night?
No, I just want to, again, thanks everybody for their time. And, you know, again, these, you know, these classes are for you guys. Like Kevin said, Kevin puts a lot of work into these. If you want to see anything else, feel free to give us a call. You know, just give us a call on our support line. And, you know, all of our guys are, you know, we're kind of geeky like this. You know, we really like to, we like to talk programming and machining and tooling and stuff like that. So, you know, these are the best guys to talk to. They're the most knowledgeable and the most professional guys that I certainly have ever worked with. So, you know, feel free to tap those guys as a resource. They're always there for you.
Absolutely. And we love hearing from you guys. So, all right. So I will end the meeting now, and give it about a few hours, and this will be updated on the YouTube channel. So any questions, concerns come up, tell your buddies about it on the YouTube channel. Leave comments on there if there's something you want to see. I got a lot of people that are watching the YouTube channels after hours, and I mean, people from all over the world watching it, and some of the translation that gets in there gets a little confusing for me. So if you do guys have a question, just put it in there or shoot me an email. We'll get you answered. But have a wonderful night, guys. Stay warm, and thanks again for attending the class tonight. All right. Have a great night, guys. Bye-bye.
Take care.